Alright, so this is the first video in my little cello bowing series, and before we even get into bowing anything, I want to talk about the grip for the bow because it really matters a lot. Having a good grip is going to be super important for everything else you do. And so what I want to start with is really make sure that as you're playing, as you're holding the bow, that your fingers, your hand stays free of tension, stays nice and relaxed. So we always want to do that check before gripping. We want to make sure that it's not stiff. Everything is nice and loose and relaxed. You're just a little bit a ways from dropping the bow. I'm not gripping on it for dear life. I just kind of typically when I hold the bow, I'm not trying to hold it up. I just kind of letting it rest, do its thing, let gravity take over. So keep it nice and relaxed. We also want to have keep a nice round shape to it. That's also going to help eliminate tension, eliminate discomfort, and that shape will actually help you to grip it in a way that makes it easier to play. So think about it as you're holding a round object like a ball or something in your hand. I've seen people put it on their knee to kind of get that shape. So just that, keep a nice round shape to it. Now we're gonna kind of focus on a few different fingers here actually, but let's start with these three here, the thumb and the two middle ones. We are going to take the bow, take that thumb, place it here, and I'm just gonna have it kind of under the grip, right on the stick, right by the grip. You can kind of play around with it and find the best place for it, where it feels more comfortable. The farther up you move it, you change the balance point basically when you move it. So if you move it up here, you have a little bit of stability, but if you move it up here, down here, you have more space, more room to do things, and it allows you to do a lot more just stuff with the tip. Like it changes the balance point basically. So your weight changes, it kind of changes the dynamics. Is what I should say. Sometimes you'll see violinists actually play up here, and maybe more like folk stuff where they're like moving around a lot and doing a lot of double stops and stuff. You don't see that as much in the cello. Most of the time you're working from back here and being able to do stuff from back there. But if you want to move it up a little higher to begin with, if you feel like back here is a struggle, you could start here and that will give you a little bit more stability. But then again, as you move here, it gives you, like I said, it changes the balance point, it gives you new opportunities. So back to the thumb somewhere under the grip. Then these fingers are going to go down. This middle finger here is going to basically go in front of your thumb. This other one just kind of rests there. And those fingers are kind of controlling the thumb with those fingers together. You can control the bow that way. This one here are kind of just there to support, if you will. Motions that maybe where you need to press the bow down this way or the other way, those can all help you with your bowing. So if I were to press this finger in more, it's going to give me a lot more. This really helps for the down bow, I think, in this one. But we'll talk about that more in future lessons. But just know those are kind of the extremities for support in this particular bow hold. What I want to do is make sure my thumb is roughly this shape. I don't want to bend it in this way too much. I don't want to have it bent like this. Both of those introduce tension, and when there's tension, you're locked up and you can't do much with your bow. So make sure it's in that nice middle relaxed position. There should be no tension in the thumb. So that's what I aim for. And it's also important because, as you'll see in later videos, you may actually be using your thumb to do some of the bowing. And so you want your thumb to be able to flex, to move around, to bend, to straighten. So there should be nothing tight or gripping in here at all. Another thing I want to talk about, so this is another method that you can use. I'm going to take my thumb and my pinky and try to support like this. If you can get that support, that will really help you with some of the future bowing motions. I can move it down here because generally my thumb isn't going to stay on top of here. I'm going to keep it more down here. So this is, if you can hold this position, this is something that will also help you learn how to stabilize your bow, and then the other fingers just kind of go where they go. So great for support, that pinky. These fingers and the thumb together just kind of hold everything down. You can maybe grip it a little bit between those, but make sure that your fingers are still nice and flexible. And then this finger is just kind of there to help with the support on that end. So those are pretty much the basics of holding the cello. I do want to mention, because some people ask, it is okay if this finger touches the hair. That's fine. You can just figure out where exactly on the bow you want to place it, like I said earlier, but it's okay for it to touch. And then last, before we start with the bowing, when we place it on the string, just kind of let gravity take it down. So I'm just going to place it on top, and now the string is supporting the bow. I really don't have to do much. I can just let it sit there, and the amount of weight I put into my hand, into my wrist, will kind of determine light versus heavy. And I'm going to talk about that more in a future video, but if I press down harder, it's going to give a heavier bow. If I press down barely at all, it's going to give a lighter bow. And so those are things you can experiment with too. When we're placing the bow on the string, you could either have the horsehair facing down and just push it down until it meets the bow, or if because of your handhold, it ends up rotating one way or the other, the stick rotates, that's also okay. Just sometimes I played it with it facing me like this, sometimes it's more straight. Either way is okay, so don't let that worry you. And that is it for this lesson on bow hold for cello.